Hey guys, Thomas the Solar Genie here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie The Beekeeper. If you end up enjoying this full movie review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers. Second it there to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly. And fourth to my Discord server, you can join, collab, and chill, and do all that cool stuff. And chilling will be reminded at the end of the review. With all that out of the way, let's get into The Beekeeper. Now, I've seen the trailer for this movie a few times, and I was like, okay, seems like a pretty standard action movie, and for the most part, it pretty much is. We follow a literal beekeeper, known as Mr. Clay, and after he loses the person he works with, this nice old lady, she was essentially this woman who was doing pretty well for herself, all things considered, had a great life, and was building up all of this money to help other people, to help these smaller communities, so on and so forth. And when the beekeeper is outside, as well as her being having some tech issues, she goes online to do some finagling and gets caught up, unfortunately unawares to her until it's too late, on this scam that brought her issues up in the first place. So we see our villain, who is this scammer guy, and he has this line of teleprompters and people who are essentially working with him. This shows that they do this on a large scale, and they're about to do in the big one with her. Once they get her password, they successfully rob her of all of her money. That being so devastating that the woman sees no future for herself or for her daughter. So she ends up committing suicide. So this is how, this could be a criticism of quite a number of things. I mean, obviously, the level of scam is pretty obvious. As someone who just got scammed still pretty recently, all things considered, right here on YouTube and through Discord nonetheless, and how I've seen that pop up on Twitch and Twitter, I could tell you that scamming is no joke. It's all over the place, and you just gotta be really careful about that sort of stuff again, all over again. Whereas not even, and they definitely like to take advantage of people who are desperate. This particular group, though, in comparison, seems to take advantage of more elderly people who would have tougher times with their technology and computers and figuring stuff out. And with that comes that larger wake of cash. Again, she had a lot of more work in her portfolio or just bank account in general. And again, it was all gone by the time they successfully breached her through her password access. So again, she's gone. And once the beekeeper, Mr. Clay, finds out about this, he calls back into the organization that he used to be a part of, the Hive, as I think it's assumed called, to get some intel about where another one of these is located. Once doing so, he heads on over, and you see it in the trailer, he heads on over with the 2 gas canisters, and he proceeds to kick some ass, and then place them in the buildings, lighting it up, and of course, running amok, destroying the entire place, ruining the entire organization. But there higher-ups beyond the guy that we see, as well as who they're connected to. So even when they take out the guy who initially did the hit on her, there is one other above him, and he happens to be related to the current president of the United States itself. And that money that was used for said campaigns, or for whatever, was used through these scams and so on and so forth. So we learn rather, how deep this rabbit hole goes. This is so much of a problem that one of the people on the higher ups of the presidential office gets in touch with the Hive, and they hire on at least one individual to see if that individual can take out Mr. Clay. And of course, during their little trip to this gas station, they fight it out, and of course he wins. And once they have already lost one operative, as it were, they decide to remain neutral from this point moving forward, not wanting to lose any more members and seeing how far he's already come. So now everything that's left is pretty deep undercover, with them hauling everything, including all of their guards and all of that, to the this household that is, I guess, is equivalent to the White House, but slightly different in terms of layout and all that. But nonetheless, he makes his way there through the sewer systems, and then he gets underneath like a vehicle, and once he's able to trap somebody, he takes their uniform and proceed forward, using it to get a little bit deeper in. Once inside, even this other operative, this FBI agent who we see throughout the movie, she is constantly fighting within it herself and between him on whether or not, she's just trying to do her job versus this bigger threat that is beyond the scope of her job, essentially. But since he's essentially the equivalent of a vigilante, she, for the great scope of the movie, is always like a step behind him, catching him up with like the report about the building itself, or the gas station after it blows up, and now this building is like the first time where they're finally catching up with him. And she spots him, and so it's a decent chase before she loses him. And that is before she tries at the very most, but doesn't quite get him. All the while, he ends up getting his bigger target, the last big scammer of them all, and with that, he makes his way out. She stops at the outside, where she decides to thinking about all the things that have happened and all the technical good that he has done. She decides to let him go. He goes underwater to escape the people who are still searching for him, because there are other operatives within the area. And essentially, as soon as he escapes, that is actually where the movie ends. And that was The Beekeeper. It's a pretty straightforward action scene. The bee thing is only in reference to sort of like how they talk in throughout the narrative. I thought there was going to be a little bit more action oriented around bees, but the only action involved around that is he throws one honey pot that ends up end up being oil or some equivalent, and then it catches fire. Other than that, it's primarily used for dialogue purposes, but outside of that, it's pretty much your average, pretty cool action movie. So I'd give it a 6 or 7 out of 10. Pretty average. don't really have much else to say about it, so I'll just leave it right there. So if you ended up enjoying my full movie review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description, and one will head over to my petition to help out some other YouTubers, so get there to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly, and fourth to my Discord server, join, collab, and chill, and all that cool stuff. And until next time, everybody, bye-bye.